Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about volume 6 of Kaiju number 8. James and I have just been on a recording hiatus for several weeks. It's not going to be noticeable on the podcast releases, but just want to mention, it's been several weeks since we last recorded anything, so it's fun to be back recording. And it's because Zelda came out.
A little rusty, maybe.
We just wanted to, maybe we are a bit rusty, but yeah, Zelda came out. We wanted to play Zelda undisturbed.
True.
But anyway, we are talking about volume 6 of Kaiju number 8, and we're getting very close to where you left off on your previous read of this series, right?
Oh yes, we are about 3 or 4 chapters. I think it's just three chapters away from where I left off.
Ooh, so this is the last discussion where you will be spoiled on some level, I guess then.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then, so next time we talk about Kaiju number 8, you and I will be on the exact same page.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. Finally, we will be caught up on with that on this series. Do you have anything you want to say before we dive into the characters?
Yeah, so this part of the story is where I really was getting into it.
I can
and
see
that's
why.
when I knew, when I ended up stopping, that's when I knew, okay, I might want to talk about this one.
Oh yeah, because I believe I asked you, because I knew you were reading this, and I asked you, do you think this would be good for the podcast? Because I knew nothing about it, really.
Yeah.
And I believe, so this was where you were, roughly.
That's where I was, and I was thinking about it when you said it, it made me start thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this we could talk about this. I thought it was that good.
Awesome.
I think that this is a kind of story that some people are either gonna like or hate it because it is so action heavy and a bit cheesy and kind of superhero-y. So if you like that kind of stuff, I think if you have an open mind, I think you really like this. But if you don't and you want something that's a little more, I don't know, sophisticated, I don't know what the right word is.
No, I see what you mean.
Yeah, just a little more meat on it, then maybe you wouldn't like this. But I really did think this is an awesome popcorn, action movie type shonen that
Right.
is going to be. It's been really fun to read, and I can't wait for when it's animated. And this kind of volume really emphasized that to me.
Absolutely, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's like, not necessarily anything too unique or anything like that, totally, but
Right.
it is just so entertaining. And
Yep.
reading through these volumes go by so quickly because they are obviously so action heavy, as you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just a lot of fun. Like the humor and the action is just a blast to take in.
Yeah, and this volume had a lot of kind of a more characteristic or more gosh, what I'm trying to say. There's more backstory for certain characters in this volume, even with all the actions. So I think, again, that's kind of what made me really take interest in the story at this point.
I totally see that. But yeah, then let's get into the characters, and let us start with Isao Shinomiya, the mad lad, in my opinion, MVP of this volume.
I mean, what a beast!
Yeah,
jeez.
Well, I believe last time I said something along the lines of that I wish we would get to see more of his past with his wife. Which I was so happy that we got that in this volume, like that exact thing.
Yeah.
So very, very pleased. And
indeed,
we also learned that kind of despite how he's acted in the past, and especially how he's acted toward his daughter, he always believed in her, and in the rest of her generation, or in the younger generation in general.
I love that.
But yeah, especially for her, like to understand that, and the fact that he actually even praised her at one point in this volume, and she was very surprised to hear it. But I feel like that, or at least the way I interpret it or kind of imagine it, is that may have been the first time he has ever praised her in that kind of a way since his wife passed away.
Isao is definitely a believer in tough love.
Yeah.
I think he loves his daughter immensely, and probably also feels he fell short. I think he even mentions that he fell short as a father.
Yeah.
But everything he was doing was in his mind for her benefit. And I think he even understood that maybe what I did was wrong, but I am doing this for her, trying to make her stronger. And my opinions on him have really changed so much.
Totally.
Since the first part of the story.
Yeah.
And it's not just because, we find out that he really does love his daughter. It's also because, like I said, he acknowledges the fact that he hasn't been the best father. He has his weaknesses. He acknowledges that.
Precisely.
And I really like that.
I love that. Yeah, and it's also kind of not only all of the acknowledgement and kind of self-reflection that comes from him in this book, but also learning through the flashback that his wife had said that she would harden her heart to Kikoru in order to train her. But then she passed away before starting the training, so I imagine that's why he took on that role instead. And so kind of we have this reason as to probably why he's acting so cold with his daughter. But deep down, I believe he always wanted to praise her and show her his love and, well, be her dad. And it's just heartbreaking to find out all of this, knowing that he is not necessarily that mean man that we've been led to think this whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I love the family moments there from those backstories, and when he acknowledges her. But beyond that, throughout this chapter or volume, it seems that he's talking about the future generation and how much faith he has in that generation.
Yeah.
Where before it didn't really feel like, I wouldn't say he hated on the generation, but it did feel that he was too hard on them, particularly Kafka and his daughter. But in reality, again, tough love. Like he had the utmost faith in them. So it was really cool to see, and I don't know, a little cheesy, but I like it.
Yeah, right. But no, I totally agree. And I think the previous volume where we saw him kind of test Kafka, and
right.
like basically like that was. Obviously, it was leading in this direction, but we weren't really quite there. I believe I said last time that I was starting to appreciate his character more, but I hadn't forgiven him for some of his bad actions, I guess you could say, especially toward his daughter or how he treated her. But with this one, I think I am kind of there, like ready to kind of forgive him or kind of really kind of get behind him, which feels awesome. I love this.
Yeah, it's a great turnaround for this character.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that whole fight he had, like at the end with the Kaiju number 9, like it became such an emotional battle.
It really did.
Like as he fought, like not just like in the moment with everything happening, but also obviously as we've been talking about the flashbacks to his family and everything going on, and how he's doing it for Kikoru and the rest of that generation. And all it surprised me how much it touched me.
Yeah.
And in the end, he's somehow standing over that seemingly defeated Kaiju number 9 in the last panel of the volume.
Who knows with freaking Kaiju number 9? Like
exactly, yeah. But yeah, it's yet another cliffhanger in a sense, because sure, everything, like the climax seems to have been over, and like it's. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's still reason to be kind of on guard, maybe.
Yeah, because we don't know for certain what Isao's state is. I mean,
definitely, yeah.
It seemed like he was on the brink of dying or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Before Kaiju number 9 regenerated again. So.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I know, but I'm.
Yeah, who knows?
I'll let your imagination run wild.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think I'll touch a little bit on this in predictions later on.
Yeah, sounds good.
But yeah, lovely moment for this character throughout this whole volume, really. But do you have anything else on him?
Worthy of being on the cover.
Oh yes, 100%. Yeah. This is a really cool cover, and it's like I feel like all of the other cover arts have been kind of colorful in some way, if I recall. But this one's just black background. and it's I don't know, it's kind of fitting for his character.
What a boss! Yeah.
Very well. Let's talk about Kafka Hibino. So he initially suspected that the reason why he couldn't turn into his kaiju form was because kaiju number 8 was, because kaiju number 9 was doing something to him. And Kikoru was also kind of like, they were both kind of assuming that at the beginning. But really, obviously, it turns out that it was just because of his own fear that he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control the kaiju if he would take its form again.
Yep.
And I believe we already kind of talked about that and almost assumed that was the reason when we talked about the previous volume, since obviously that was when the little guy inside of him took control and he kind of lost control, and since then he definitely struggled, and I definitely felt like there was a connection, and here he's kind of confirmed that it was. But I also kind of I guess I hadn't assumed that anyone would assume anything else necessarily, but it was nice to see that Kafka didn't put it together, because I think it kind of makes sense that he wouldn't be able to necessarily comprehend his feelings right away about that.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I kind of appreciated that.
I think it is one of those somewhat stereotypical shonen story tropes where the MC begins to doubt himself. It's like, oh no, I must overcome this. But it was still good in the way they went about it, and it's not necessarily a bad trope.
Right.
The fact that he had to come to realization that he was the one that was holding himself back. I thought it was nice and a good moment for his character when he finally did overcome that.
For sure.
Did it shock you as much as it shocked me when I initially read it to see Kafka's kaiju just stab Kikoru through the gut?
Oh yeah,
against the wall.
Yes, it did.
Just like,
oh my god,
like, no!
Yeah, dude.
You kind of turn the page. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
okay,
like my heart definitely skipped a beat when I saw that. Because that was that definitely scared me. So glad it was just in his head. Oh.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Oh boy.
But I like how the entire experience of losing control of himself was made for his own good. Like it turned him stronger, and he realizes that he has more potential in this form and whatnot. Which basically makes an already OP character even more OP.
Totally, yeah.
But I'm sure there'll be someone stronger, something stronger in the future. So it's cool to see that we've kind of raised the stakes in that way.
Right. I mean, especially we know that Kaiju number 9 has also been improving quite a lot.
True.
So
evolving.
Precisely. So yeah, it's it makes sense for everyone to grow stronger, I suppose. But no, I agree, that was really cool. It's like the little kaiju or the little guy inside of him was sort of guiding his movements, or well, he was in control of him. But that made him understand his potential, kind of, or at least understand it better. Maybe he doesn't understand it fully yet, still, but he definitely understood it better. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I want to talk about that more in predictions. We kind of talked about it in previous discussion, but I want to bring it back up again when we talk about that.
Sounds good. Then anything else on Kafka for now?
Nope, I'm good.
Then let's talk about Kikoru Shinomiya.
She had a good volume too.
Absolutely.
Along with her dad.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. Both of theirs. Learning about both of those characters' relation to their mother/wife was beautiful.
Yeah, just very precious moments. I love the scene where she, as a young child, comes home to greet her mom, just wham in her face, and but then the mom is kind of like twirling her around, like grabbing her by the arms, like I love that.
And I feel like you can tell that this is something that has happened before. Like this is maybe like a set, like almost like a routine for them, because as she's like swirling her around, like they're just talking like it's nothing, like it's no big deal. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so
I
good.
do too.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, you can really tell like they were a really good family. But we also learned like Hikaru, she kind of, in a way, she blames herself for her mother's death, since she had promised her mom that she would save her and she'd be there for her.
Such a tough thing to blame yourself for, I mean.
Yeah.
There's such a young child I mean, that does tend to motivate people, but still, there's nothing she could have done at the time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. There really isn't. But yeah, it did motivate him. Motivate her. Like we really find out that whole tragedy really is the reason why she did start training to become as strong as she has become. Maybe she had some benefit through her genes. Like obviously, both her mom and dad are crazy good at kaiju hunting or kaiju slaying, so maybe she had an advantage kind of in that way. But obviously, she has trained very hard. So, and all of that was because of this whole thing. So, it's interesting to, or it's nice to know the exact reason, because I know in the past I had some speculations as to like maybe it was like a bad motivational thing for her to slay kaijus the way she does, like coming from her dad being like, and how we perceived her, how we perceived him up to now. That it was kind of a bad motivator, like he was a bad motivator for her in everything that she was doing. But now we find out that it's something different. Also, not necessarily a great motivator, but but still, it's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, really great fight between her and Kaiju number 9. I mean, again, as we've been praising constantly, just the action is really entertaining. But she also had some really great one-liners.
Ooh.
This time for sure, I will do the saving.
Yeah.
I like that. No comrades will be dying on my watch.
Oh yeah, that was also great.
And there was more that I didn't write down. It was also the poses, like saying, "Man, Kafka, you're always late," or something like that. And she's like cocking her gun, like, it's so cool,
Yeah.
Kafka mentions that she is just so strong and cool, and it's true. She is really one of the coolest and strongest characters. I mean, both her and it's been so long. Mina. They're both so cool and strong. I mean, different personalities, but I mean, it's just so awesome to see them kick butt.
Absolutely.
I mean, I guess we already knew that, but still, more reinforcement.
For sure. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. And yeah, talking about all the action and stuff, it just makes me long or yearn for the anime adaptation. Whenever
I hope it's good.
Whenever it's coming. I
really do.
It was confirmed, right? Or
yes.
Right.
We've seen some of the character art, I believe.
I believe I remember that vaguely now, yeah. But yeah, that's bound to be awesome. Next, let us talk about Gen Narumi. So, we learned something very interesting about him, I thought.
Yeah.
About his eyes. And I remember last time, for the last volume, I believe he was introduced in the last volume, right? In the previous volume, I think.
Is that his introduction?
Either way,
he was a pretty big focus last volume.
At least there was that. But yeah, regardless, we didn't talk at all about his eyes, but they are very remarkable, or like the design is very notable of his eyes. Like I definitely thought about his eyes looking interesting or different, but we never talked about it whatsoever. I just assumed because I just assumed it was just a design choice, kind of like in manga anime kind of thing, because sometimes characters in manga and anime have eyes that look not super normal.
Right.
But no, it turns out that there was actually a reason for the eyes looking the way they do, and that they were parts of Kaiju number 1's eyes, and allow him to predict his opponent's moves. Like, damn.
I mean, how did they beat Kaiju number 1 with the future sight?
Yeah. I imagine they must have had like a lot of people dying in the process, like a bunch of sacrifices in a way, maybe. And just eventually by kind of brute forcing it, maybe they got it, maybe.
Oof.
It sounds terrible, but
rough.
Could have been something like that.
But hey, they have it.
Yeah.
Oldest weapon they have. I wonder when Narumi got it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Didn't think about that.
Wonder if that's something we learn or not. But I mean, you gotta be able to prove yourself in order to get something like that, right?
Precisely, and I also I imagine you also need to have a certain power level in order to even be able to take him in or use them, right? Or at least some of the other parts work that way.
Kaiju number 9, when it attacks Isao, it mentions someone who's compatible with Kaiju number 2. So there must be some sort of compatibility that's at play.
Right.
And maybe Nanami was the only one who was compatible with Kaiju number 1's retina for some reason.
Yeah.
Whether it be he's just incredibly strong, or there's some sort of
like a chosen thing.
Yeah.
I wonder. Oh, I guess in his case it's hard to say because we know that he is like one of the top fighters in the defense force. So it's not necessarily surprising that he would be chosen for such an important thing, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
But yeah, that was really cool to find out.
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
And actually get some kind of mention of the first major kaiju.
Right.
As well.
Right.
So that was awesome. But next up, I mean, there's not too much left for characters, but there was a character called Kurusu, the guy who was helping Isao out with, like, he was on the computer and like controlling the suits in various ways or helping him out with that. He was obviously a very small character, but I admired his loyalty and kind of his concern and his willingness to assist Isao throughout that whole endeavor.
Yeah.
I have no idea if we'll see him again, but I hope we do. And yeah, I just thought for the small role that he played, I thought he was pretty awesome.
Yeah, appreciate that courage to stick around because he knew he needed to be there.
Yeah. He also, for some reason, like the way he looks, like the design of him, it gives me like kind of like 90s anime vibes. I think it's his haircut.
Oh, really?
His haircut, I think, is like kind of gives me that vibe. I think maybe like a 90s Studio Ghibli or maybe just 90s anime in general. Either way, yeah, just a strange comment. But I like it. I like it. It's a good thing. Yeah. But I guess that's all on him.
Yeah.
Then let's talk a little bit about Kaiju number 9.
Dude does not quit.
No. No.
Ever.
Yeah, supposedly not. Yeah, he's constantly learning and adapting from all of these encounters he's had with the humans.
Mm-hmm. They say that he operates like a virus.
Exactly. Yeah, that was...
Which I guess is kind of on point with fungi, or like at least particularly the parasitic one.
Because exactly, he's always been like a fungus kaiju, and now he's as he said, referred to as a virus. What other microorganisms is he gonna be compared to? I wonder. Bacteria. I guess we'll see. No, but he failed to kill Kafka. Obviously, no big surprise. And I guess he also failed to take a kaiju great kaiju power as he intended to do. But
yeah,
and I guess I don't know if it's super clear if his intention initially was to take Kafka's kaiju, or if his intention was always from the beginning to take Isao's kaiju suit power.
Yeah.
I guess that was, or to me at least, that was a little bit unclear.
Yeah, the twist was a little unclear. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was a fun twist, like a good, like, oh no.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It was not necessarily the best, or the clearly set up, you know.
Yeah, like at least like in terms of Kaiju number 9's intentions about it, like.
Right.
I didn't quite know what his initial thoughts were and all that, but that's fine.
I'm very curious why did we talk about this in the previous discussion? Not sure. Why does he call the kaiju by number, especially when, for example, when he confronts Isao, he says, "I'm going to take kaiju number 2." How does he know it's kaiju number 2? How is he able to know that? Maybe it's just so that for us readers, that's how we understand the kaiju, and so it just makes it easier that way. But it does kind of feel that it breaks the continuity a little bit, because this is what the humans or this team is. That's what they name them, not the kaiju. Why would the kaiju have a number for them?
I mean, we know that Kaiju number 9 has been infiltrating human society to some extent.
Oh, that's a good point.
Taking the shapes of humans and stuff like that. And so maybe he has learned their names through that. Maybe they don't. Maybe like the kaijus between themselves, maybe they don't have ways to necessarily refer to each other. Maybe.
Maybe.
If that's the case, then using the human name for it is the best thing to do, I guess. But obviously
that's a good point.
That rides on the fact that they don't have their own names for each other.
Yeah. Interesting.
But regardless, I think it makes sense that he would at least know of the name.
If he was somehow able to keep track of the naming and whatnot, and for how long he'd been doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be. I think it could make sense. Yeah, that's a good point. And I'll just is he finally dead? That's something I want to talk about in predictions.
For sure, yeah, we absolutely will.
Yeah.
Let's actually move into predictions then.
Cool.
Yeah, and about this whole thing that we were talking about regarding Kaiju number 9 and Isao Shinomiya, the last panel shows us that seemingly Isao won and whatnot, but obviously we know that, as you also mentioned earlier, Isao was very close to defeat, it seemed like. And I don't know. To me, it almost seems too good to be true, which makes me wonder if what we're seeing on that last page isn't what it looks like. Like, I hope this isn't the case, but but if it's actually like Kaiju number 9 who's like taking over Isao's body, like we've seen him take over human bodies before. And like he's just making it look like Isao defeated Kaiju number 9, but really Kaiju number 9 is Isao now.
Do you think so? Are you saying that he would infiltrate them?
Yeah. Right. I think that that's like my main, I guess, suspicion as to where the story may go from here. At least because if he has taken Isao's body, like I'm sort of suspecting here, then why would he do that if it wasn't in order to infiltrate? And especially someone like Isao infiltrating the defense force using his shape gives you a lot of benefits. So I think that definitely could be something that Kaiju number 9 would want.
I wonder if you can fool Kafka and his little guy.
Like that's a good point. Wonder. Yeah, because he can sense kaijus. That's a good point.
But maybe that is a plot point that Kaiju number 9 tries to do, but Kafka says no or something. I don't know. But I do think that's interesting because we can't know. We can't know exactly from this page if Isao is triumphant or maybe Kaiju number 9 got him.
Right.
I think it would be a sad but good turn for the story if it was that Kaiju number 9 took Kaiju number 2 away, that power, and then escaped. And so now you have a even greater, more powerful enemy out there. I think that could be an interesting turn for the story.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't talk too much because I have read the next 3 chapters already. So there is that. Although I'll be honest, I don't remember them entirely. But I do know points. I do remember points. So anyway, I'll stop there. But I think this discussion has been very interesting, and yeah. But talking about number 9, is he finally dead? Is he still alive? Number 9 has been great and creepy, and he's been a fun recurring villain. But I need more Daikaiju. I want something different. It was Kaiju number 10 was pretty great to have. He was just this big muscle guy, but still, it was a new threat, and it showed us more talking kaiju. So if there is more, let's see more. I kind of would be disappointed if there's not some other kaiju leader of some kind,
Yeah.
So if Kaiju number 9 is still around, that's fine, but let's put him on the bench for a little bit, if that's okay, is my opinion.
Fair, fair. I can see that. I think it would be a yeah. I think it would be a shame if he was actually defeated here. Um, Whether or not it's like because I guess I can see, I guess in total I can see three outcomes in this current situation that we're at the end of this volume. Either what I said already about him having taken over Isao's body and well Isao being dead basically, or yeah, or literally, but Kaiju number 9 using Isao's body. Either that, or it is exactly what it looks like. Isao killed Kaiju number 9, and Kaiju number 9 is out of the picture. And I guess that's the one I hope for the least. Or Isao like believes that he defeated Kaiju number 9, and Kaiju number 9 looks like it's dead, but it's actually like transferred itself elsewhere, and it's still around, but it's gonna come back. I feel like it's got to be one of those three things.
I think I could agree with that.
And what was I gonna get to about this? What were we talking about before?
I was saying how I kind of want to see Kaiju number 9 on the bench.
Oh yeah.
If he's not dead, just so that we can see other kaiju.
Right.
But
that's right.
I don't necessarily want him dead per se. You know. I think there's more that he could bring as a reoccurring or as just a known enemy. Especially since he seems to be continually evolving. How far would that go, and is that going to catch up to Kafka? Yeah, so there's some interesting things to that if he's still alive.
For sure.
But
yeah,
I just want to see something different.
I totally get that, and I think so. What I was gonna say is that I definitely see what you mean. I feel kind of similarly. Like it would be fun with some new major enemies as well. That said, though, I don't think I want to bench this guy like Kaiju number 9 entirely. Like I think first of all, definitely hoping he's not dead for good. Like that's like the main thing. But also, I think we could introduce other major kaiju while still keeping Kaiju number 9 around. Seeing him work closely together with another kaiju.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I think that would be interesting, especially since we haven't necessarily seen that before. Like, because with Kaiju number 10,
right,
he was never together. At least the way we saw it was never working together completely with Kaiju number 9.
And we know that Kaiju number 9 is reporting or at least talking with someone based on that cell phone call that he made.
True.
So whether that is another kaiju or some human person that we've talked about in previous discussions, either way, he's working with somebody. So it could be interesting to see that. Yeah, having him die here probably would be a shame without knowing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I also feel like it would be strange to just switch out the main villain at this point for someone else.
So going to something that I was alluding to at the beginning of the discussion with Kafka and his little guy, I mentioned this in one of the previous discussions that I feel like the reason why his kaiju went berserk is because it felt threatened, or the presence of kaiju number 2, and the little guy just took over. Because I think it felt threatened. It knew that it was not as strong, at least when Kafka's in control. It wouldn't be strong enough to handle that kaiju number 2. Or there's maybe some other, maybe it was trying to take the power of kaiju number 2, similar to how number 9 was trying to take the power. That's also a possibility, I guess. But so my prediction for the future is that going forward, that urge of that little guy trying to take control, when it comes in contact with either a kaiju that's more powerful than it, or maybe one of the numbered kaiju weapons or something, maybe that it will have that same reaction. But instead of necessarily losing complete control, Kafka will be able to resist it, is what I'm thinking. Or maybe even understand it and try to utilize it to his own benefit. And maybe that will skyrocket his powers even more. Who knows? But I feel like that will play a part further on as he tries to understand the kaiju that's within him.
For sure. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, because taking away the influence of the little guy completely would be not only boring, probably for the story, but also it may halt Kafka in how he
Yeah,
progresses and how he learns and
right.
becomes stronger. Because I think maybe yeah, the little guy is probably necessary for Kafka to continue to improve,
Yeah.
and for Kafka to find a way to sort of work alongside the little guy a little bit more efficiently or so better, kind of, so
Mm-hmm.
that he can
Mm-hmm.
learn from him, maybe be in control, or like maybe have the little guy be in control while he's still somehow there a little bit more than he was before as
Right.
well. Yeah, I like that.
It's not necessarily new to the shonen superhero type genre, but I think it's one that works, and especially with what has been established in the series, I think going along with it will, uh, well, it could be a pretty good idea.
Hmm. It makes sense with what we've learned before in the series. And it kind of, to a degree, it gives me a little bit like Hulk vibes, like Hulk and Bruce Banner from Marvel Comics.
Ah, I like that.
Um,
I like that comparison.
Kind of how he has this other creature being within him who can take control and just be
Mm.
reckless and destructive.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe he can find a way to balance that potentially. That would be cool.
Yeah.
And I love those types of things. I've always been a sucker for, well, shape shifting in general, but especially the type of shape shifting where the other shape is chaotic, kind of, in some sense. Like, I've always
Mm.
been a sucker for, like, werewolves is like the most basic kind of core
Ah.
version of this. And like all my life, I've just loved those types of things, and I'm definitely enjoying it in this story, and I'm excited to see kind of how it's going to move on.
Yeah. Me too.
My last little prediction thing, and maybe this will be like a standing prediction until it happens, is for maybe you know what I'm gonna say. It's for like Reno and Mina and Soshiro and those guys to come back into the story again.
Right. I am definitely ready. Uh, Even though I said that I was really kind of invested and eager to talk about the story at this point, I still was missing, or, well, I'm not as missing Mina and all of them as I was previously, as I mentioned,
Hmm.
but I still want to see them, and I kind of wish they were here. But
Yeah.
I feel like this. I mean, depending on what happens the next few chapters, it could be a transition to another arc, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
and then maybe we
Right.
can get some good Mina action.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, her
But
and Reno and Soshiro. Those three are really the ones that I'm missing the most. And I mean,
right,
they are the most prominent out of the ones that are missing from this current part of the story.
yeah,
And I think something I especially think will be interesting is will be to see the three of them in some sense interact with Narumi, because I think, well, maybe especially Mina actually, see how she and Narumi will interact, because they're very different people, and I think, yeah, it just would be
true.
fun to
It would
see.
be pretty fun. Hmm. Yeah, that'll be interesting if Kafka goes back to that team. What happens with Narumi? Like, are they going to be in contact, or is he going to switch squadrons or something? I don't know. I don't know.
Best case scenario, although I don't know if this is like realistic, but it would be cool to see just all of our main characters on the same team. You
I
know, or well,
agree.
they are on the same team, but like on the same specific squadron, or you know.
They do mention in this volume how, oh, I see what Isao was saying. This is the greatest team, or something. Do you remember
Yeah,
that
yeah. The bald
vaguely?
guy says or thinks
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You
Yeah.
say something how incredible they were, or whatever. So
Mm.
maybe that it will lead to them having just this OP squadron
Yeah, forming like the
that
super team. Yeah,
that they're not necessarily stationed in one place. They can go wherever the great Daikaiju threat comes.
that would be
Maybe.
awesome.
Yeah,
I hope it goes somewhere like that, something like that.
that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I think that's really all I can speculate on.
Same here, actually. So I suppose that brings us to the end. Any closing thoughts you want to give before we end?
Well, up to this point, I think I'd rate the series an 8. I think I'm
Ah,
enjoying it that much.
nice.
And eight for me is great. 9 is amazing, and then 10 is masterpiece. 8 is great in that I enjoy rereading it, would want to reread it. Yeah, just great. I'm curious what your thoughts on the series so far are, or how you would rank the series up to this point.
Well, I also think it's great. However, for me, it's a different score.
Right.
It's a solid 7, like a very solid 7. Like it's a great 7.
That's fair. Right.
Yeah. No, but I also really
that's totally fair.
think it's very great. Very glad we started doing this. It's like a simple kind of thing. Like you don't necessarily have to think too hard when you read it, but it just just kind of.
But there's just enough.
Yeah,
there's just enough of a question to how the world works and Kafka's powers and whatnot that it's entertaining to think about. But for the most part, it's just some really fun action with a good cast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like the mystery aspect is it's fun, it's neat. And this volume, giving the depth that it gave to especially Isao Shinomiya, I thought was brilliant. Absolutely.
It was. Yeah.
So this is fantastic. But with all that said, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel, Umami Manga, on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 7. Bye-bye!
See you later. I gave Umami Manga 5 stars!